Today, we're talking about the 5 biggest secrets of the INFJ. With some people, it's what you see is what you get. With INFJs, this is probably not the case. And it's not that INFJs try to mislead others. It is just that the INFJ is an enigma. There are so many personality traits and qualities of the INFJs that are so deeply hidden that all of us are aware of as INFJs once we think about them, but they're not readily visible. They're not something people are mostly aware of. And once it actually comes out, people are shocked. So today we're looking into the 5 biggest secrets of the INFJs, and we try to answer the question if these secrets are supposed to be hidden. Are we supposed to bring them out more? What are we going to do with that knowledge? Before we get started though, I want to remind you the next INFJ Epic Life Bootcamp is launching November 4th. So I have a quick checklist for you to get ready. So first, download the free poster on the 5 pillars to an INFJ Epic Life. Then sign up for the waiting list to get access to the early bird price and get notified once we go live. And thirdly, set a reminder to watch the free masterclass on November 4th here on YouTube. I look forward to seeing you there. Everything you need to know you can find in the links in the description. Secret number 1, the INFJ is mentally very strong. So when it comes to INFJs, there are a lot of decisions that we make that a lot of people wouldn't make. And we make those decisions because we can handle everything that is being thrown at us. We can handle being, the savior. We can handle being the martyr, but we can also handle people judging us. We're really good at understanding a situation and then making a choice of, no, this is the best solution. This is the best rational step to take. And very often this seems to us like it's a very normal, step, like everybody would do it. But the reality is this is not the case. Most people do not have that strong mentality when it comes to these things. Like, I'm not saying the INFJ is incredibly strong when it comes to physical things, for example. Like, we're probably, as a type, not the perfect ones that are going to survive a week in the wilderness. There are other types that are way more qualified for this, just like as a general rule. But when it comes to standing up to a principle, when it comes to standing alone if we have to, the INFJ is incredibly strong. And this is something that most people are completely shocked by, and they don't expect this. And the reason for this is because every single one of us, and I mean every person, not just every INFJ, we see the world through our own filter. We see the world the way we are. So if you're somebody who doesn't make rational decisions because it will mean you'll be sad or you will feel alone, then you're not going to understand why the INFJ does what the INFJ does. But let me make this clear. There are types that are way more rational than the INFJ. They're probably just as mentally strong as the INFJ, maybe even more. But that is not a secret. So if you look at stoic types, if you look at ISTJs, if you look at INTJs, like, you expect them to make rational decisions. You expect them to not let their emotions really mislead them. But with the INFJ, it's different because the INFJ is able to process a lot of emotions. We can be very emotional. We can be very forgiving and very forthcoming towards others, and we have a lot of empathy. So people are going to assume that at some level we're pushovers or we're going to try to be nice to others when it comes down to it. But in the end, when we really have to make a choice, what is best, and we know there is no other right choice here, we will make those hard decisions. We will be mentally strong. We can do this. And so in a lot of ways, it's exactly this opposite of what people see and what we actually are that is the secret of it all. That is what shocks people. That is what makes people, uncomfortable because they never expected it. And then maybe they're taking a step back because they look at the INFJ and say, well, that's not the person I thought they were. I have to reevaluate who I think that person is, what I think about them, and how safe I feel around them. A lot of people feel safe around the INFJ because they think the INFJ is never going to be able to make those hard choices and put the INFJ first. But that's the case. When it comes down to it, the INFJ will make those hard choices and other people will be uncomfortably surprised. So is this something we should keep hidden? Is this something we should bring out more? Well, yes and no. So my whole approach with this, and this is what I've learned through working with thousands of INFJs throughout the last years, is that you have to be willing to be more of who you are. And that also means that people should be aware of your strength, not because this is a good quality trait or because you shouldn't keep certain things hidden from others, but because it's not good for you. So in those cases where people are completely shocked by, the secret, our strong mentality, it's because so often we have turned the other cheek. Because so often we try to be the bigger person. And we did that at the expense of our own well-being. And so what we have to learn is that we have to make sure that we're good, that we feel good, that we're at our best, because only then we can also be the best version towards others. So when you meet somebody, make it clear from the get-go, okay, you crossed a boundary, I'm going to make a hard choice here. I'm going to stand by my principles. I'm going to hold on to my boundaries. I'm not going to let anybody cross that. And the earlier in the relationship you do this, and again, relationship in any kind of form, even if it's your neighbor or a business partner, the sooner the person knows what you're about, who you're about, they're able to respect you more, and not in a way of, oh, now I think you're better than I used to think before, but they can respect what bothers you. Because that is uniquely you. Like even we as INFJs, like whatever bothers me doesn't necessarily bother you the same way and vice versa. So it's on us to let people know, oh, you crossed a boundary here. That's not okay. And because of that, I'm not going to be the first to reach out and try to create harmony again because the other person has to understand they did something wrong. You can also do this with existing relationships, of course. It is harder, but it's a process. And I encourage every single one of us, like, let's not keep this mentally strong version of ourselves hidden. It is, despite everything, very lovable. It's very admirable. Like this is a good trait. We very often keep it hidden because we feel like, oh, people are going to be afraid of us, or they're not going to feel like we're, nice and kind people. Just because you're strong, that doesn't mean that you're less lovable. If you're being the bigger person in so many ways, you're actually taking on more burden because you're trying to prove to yourself how much you can actually take. When in the end, it's like, yeah, I can take on a lot, but that doesn't mean I should. Secret number 2, we're very hesitant when it comes to taking action and responsibility. So you might say, well, people know this. This isn't really a secret. But let me explain this in detail. We are probably not going to be the ones who say, I'm going to be the one who organizes this get together. We're probably not going to be the ones who say, I'm going to make sure that this thing gets done. I don't want to take on the responsibility of us having a good time. So I'm not going to be the one who plans out how we're going to spend that weekend away. This is something that has 2 components to it. Number 1, it requires a lot of physical energy from us, like being present, taking care of everything, being in the leading position, for example, throughout that getaway weekend. And secondly, we don't want to be the ones who take on responsibility if people don't like it. So because of those 2 points, we very seldom take responsibility, take action when it comes to something where other people are involved in. But it's not that we cannot come up with something great. Like we have ideas, we can bring things to life. And that is something that people are not aware of. People might think, oh, the INFJ just doesn't have the ideas. The INFJ isn't the person who's able to create a great moment, a great, get together, whatever it may be. They don't want to be the leader in this situation because they're not good at it. But actually, if we decide that we want to do something because it's important enough to us, we actually create amazing results. And it's then that people realize we've been hiding those qualities. We've been hiding them not because we're not aware of creating something amazing. We're hiding them because we don't want to take on the responsibility, because we don't want to take action. It requires a lot of energy, and we also have to make sure that people feel good. We feel responsible for how everybody's feeling. And so it is on us to understand 2 things. Number 1, I don't have to do all the things, but I'm going to do the things that are important to me. So just because I'm not taking the leadership position in every single situation, that does not mean that I'm not able to. It means that I'm making those choices because I'd rather be the one who can just sit back and allows others to shine. People who want to be, hosts, people who want to create amazing memories in that situation. Like that's fine. But when it comes to the things that are really important to you, like use the power that you do have to make that happen. Take on that step. And also understand that the responsibility that you feel you're taking on, you're not. This is something that so many INFJs feel, and I know I felt it forever. I thought if I'm creating a party and people come over and they're not having a good time, I'm the reason why they didn't have a good time that evening. When in the end, it's on them to decide Who am I going to visit? Am I going to go to that person's house, or am I going to go to a bar? Am I going to make a choice of listening to what that INFJ is saying, or am I not? So this is something that we can learn through practice, because we take on too much responsibility. That's just a fact. We think we're responsible for how other people feel around us. And with time and practice, we recognize it's not on us. It's on others to tell us if they don't like the music we're playing. It's on others to decide if they want to spend time with us or not. Because the price that we're paying is that we're never really living out the things that are important to us, the things that would actually bring abundance to us and happiness and joy, because of what we're afraid others are going to think about it, feel about it, and the responsibility that we take within this. Like, don't do this. Understand. Decide for yourself what are the core things you want to do in order to create your INFJ epic life, and then let others decide if they want to join or not. And if they join and they don't like it, it's not your responsibility. It's on them to say, okay, I tried it out. I made that choice to try it out. I didn't like it. I do something else the next time. But please don't make choices because you're already taking into account, are people going to like it? And if it's something that you like and some people might not, don't decide to do it for other people. Make sure you're doing things that make you proud of yourself, that make you satisfied with the choices you're making. Secret number 3, we're more open and judgmental at the same time than what people believe. When it comes to this, people recognize at some point or another that you are actually way more open than you make out to be. So what does that look like? Well, when it comes to this, it mostly means that the INFJ is able to have relationships with different kind of people, and they wouldn't necessarily would want those people to meet. Like, with time, I hope you've worked on this. We're going to talk about this a little bit later, but this is something almost every INFJ that I've talked to, me including, has gone through. Because with that one person, you are, that version of yourself that really bonds with them. With another person, you're another version of yourself. So you're open to that. You can understand why this person is thinking this way. You can understand why that person is thinking that way. And you're not judging anybody. Like, you understand where they're coming from, what their values are, why they're thinking of this. And you're okay with that. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you would be okay with those people meeting, because then it would fall back to you. Meaning that first friend will ask you, how can you have a friend like this with these kind of values? So people actually understand that you are open to a lot of people, that you're not making those rash judgments that they're doing. But at the same time, we are making those judgments, but we're not making them to the extent of, I don't want to be friends with them, or I don't want to have any contact with them. We're making those judgments internally. So many people are in our life and they think we love everything about them, but we're not. We don't like the way they think about certain topics or the way they talk about certain individuals. Like, we don't like that, and because of that, we might not let these people too close to us in certain areas, but nobody's going to be aware of that. So we're okay with having people in our lives because we're open. We can look at a situation from a very rational point without saying, oh, that's good or bad. It's just like, that's a fact, that's a fact. And I see it and I accept it because that's reality. But at the same time, we're making those judgments. We're making those judgments, but so deeply, and nobody's aware of that. So at the same time, we're actually more open than people think, and we're actually also a lot more judgmental than people think. And this can make our life very complicated. So it is a secret that a lot of us are carrying with us, and it's a secret that weighs a lot. It takes a lot of mental load to make sure those groups don't meet, that you're this one version of yourself when you're with this one person, or you're that other version of yourself when you're with somebody else. And it makes life a lot easier if you come clean about it. That does not mean that you have to tell person A, listen, I'm totally fine with what person B does, but that you actually bring those things together. So if you have internal judgments, make them a little bit more obvious. Like, make people aware of, these are the values that I have. And when you're okay with certain people's behaviors, also make this a little bit more public. Why should we do this? Well, there's of course a balance there. But in most cases, we're keeping these things hidden because of the judgment we think people are going to have on us, how they're going to stop liking us. But what we have to remember is that if we're in this situation, people are liking us for who they think we are. They're not really liking who who we actually are. Because who we actually are is somebody who does have certain judgments, who is still okay with being friends with people who don't do everything that is, perfectly in alignment with what we think, that we're totally okay with having that friend B, and person A should know this about us. If you want person A to really like you and accept you, then they should, at least to some extent, understand that you're okay with person B, because then they can honestly decide, do they still like you or not? We can handle this. And I promise you, the more you bring this forward, you don't have to go all out. Doesn't mean that you have to tell everybody what you're thinking all the time, but that you aim to make your life simpler. Make it a little bit more visible of who you are, what you stand for, and that you don't play those different roles with people all the time, because it's exhausting. And it's time that you take the energy that you do have to create a life that you love, that you feel that you're proud of, and that you say, I'd rather be disliked for who I am than to be liked for somebody that I'm not. Secret number 4, the INFJ is a hidden savior. This is something every INFJ has experienced. So you're friends with somebody and the other person thinks you're on eye level. They think you're with them because you enjoy their company, because you feel like you're both enhancing your lives. And it's a, give and take, like completely 50-50. But in the end, it's you who's putting so much into that relationship. It's you who feels like that person needs you. And so you become this hidden savior. And with time, this always leads to passive-aggressive behavior, because you expect more from the other person than they're giving to them. You think like at some point there should be some validation for what I'm doing for them. So most people don't know that you are a hidden savior in that sense, that you are trying to help them, and that you're doing this in the disguise of, oh, we're friends, we're at eye level, but in the end, I think I'm pulling you out of it. And so we have to ask ourselves, why are we doing this? Well, in a lot of ways, because we can, but also because we think that that is a way to make sure that people like you. If they need you, if you make their life better, it's way easier to, not abandon you. But then we have to ask ourselves, why am I going through this? Why do I have to show up and say I'm going to be liked only for what I'm doing for other people? Understand that if you have something within you that wants to help people, then do it in a healthy outlet. So you do this with somebody, with an organization, with a group, whatever it is, where everybody knows, okay, you're the mentor, that's somebody that you're helping. You're doing like a Big Brother program. You're helping out with certain ideas, you're mentoring people to, move ahead, whatever it may be. But then everybody knows what is happening. And you're being respected for the coaching position that you're taking on. And when it comes down to friendships or intimate relationships, you decide for yourself, okay, from now on, it's going to be 50-50. I want a partner at my side. If it's a friend, if it's, a partner for life, doesn't matter, but we're doing it 50-50. And if that person cannot give more than what they're giving right now, then I'm going to give less. I'm going to make sure that we're on eye level and that I'm not putting more into the relationship that I'm getting back. Because all of that excess energy that you're putting in there, you can actually use to create a win-win situation. Because all of those unbalanced relationships always lead to pain, always lead to a situation where we are burned out, where we're not getting any appreciation for what we're doing. And again, people have no idea about it. It is a secret. People do not know that you're saving them. So really ask yourself, the people that you have in your life that you're sort of pulling up, are they aware of that? If you would ask them, are you aware that in our friendship, I'm the one who pulls you up? Is this really something that you're aware of and you're giving me the respect because of that? And I guarantee you, in most cases, it's not. So let's change that dynamic and really get to a place where we keep on thriving and not keep on doing things that, are just keeping us in survival mode. And lastly, secret number 5, the INFJ is fiercely independent. So this is different than number 1, that we're mentally strong. When it comes to being fiercely independent, it's something that surprises people because most people are not that fiercely independent. It has a lot to do with our cognitive setup, but in the end, we are okay with standing alone. We're not only okay with that because of everything that we've experienced and because we are so different and we had to stand on our own, but it's actually vice versa. It's actually the fact that we have this ability, that we were willing to be more of ourselves, and because of that, may be abandoned or be an outcast or be different. So many people who need to be dependent in one way or another are giving up parts of themselves because that's the only way they can do it. Going out of the system is just not something they can mentally handle. The INFJ can. Of course, there are limits to it, but as a general rule, INFJs are fiercely independent and people are not aware of that. They're not aware of it because, again, they're seeing the world through their own lens. And in their own lens, they're already fiercely independent. But once they see that you're willing to give up popularity, that you're willing to give up things that are considered desirable in our society in order to be true to yourself, they really are shocked and they didn't expect this. And people, because of that, keep on pushing the INFJ so often because they think at some point the INFJ is going to break and they're going to show their true colors, which is you are just as dependent on certain things as they are. But we're not. And so the sooner we allow ourselves to live this out, so we make choices that enhance this fact, so we actually decide to do things that, we can do because we're fiercely independent that others might not be able to. Going to those lengths, those are the areas that really get us out of our comfort zone. And that's when we create those amazing lives for ourselves. It really comes from a place of what can you do that you want to do, but you feel like nobody around you is doing. Well, they're not doing it because they cannot. There's certain things we cannot do, but those things like standing fiercely independent for what we believe in and we start creating something amazing out of it, that's something we can do. So let's do that. Not because it will be something that people will say, oh, that's amazing, but because it will make us feel more alive. It will make our life more full. It will make our life feel more exciting. And, that's part of the INFJ Epic Life as well. So remember, if you want some more guidance and some more strategies how to tap into your INFJ Epic Life and make amazing progress in this, then join our amazing community of INFJs. So our next live round launches November 4th. So make sure to download the free poster on the 5 pillars to an INFJ Epic Life. Join the waitlist so you get access to the early bird price and get notified once we go live, and set a reminder to watch the free INFJ Epic Life Masterclass here on YouTube November 4th. Everything you need to know you can find in the links in the description. And if you want to watch another video now that is in alignment with today's topic, then watch the 5 weirdest habits of the INFJ.